They thought humans would run. They thought humans would break. They thought humans would forget. They were wrong. Across the silent edge of known space, a single decision was made, small, efficient, and cruel. No alarms echoed through the galaxy. No warnings were given. And yet, that quiet choice would one day burn empires to ash. The Carthan Dominion had ruled the outer spiral for over 4,000 cycles. Their fleets were enormous, their soldiers bred for war, their history written in the ruins of conquered worlds. Species that resisted were erased. Species that surrendered were chained. To the Carthan, this was not evil. It was order. Supreme Marshal Rex Varuan stood aboard the war dreadnought Unending Will, gazing at a blue-green planet rotating slowly below. His kind stood tall and plated in obsidian armor grown directly from their skin. Their eyes glowed amber, adapted to vacuum combat and radiation storms. "Report," Rex said calmly. A tactical analyst stepped forward. "The species calls itself human. Origin world, Earth. Carbon-based. Fragile physiology. No natural weapons. Short lifespan." The display shifted to images of humans. Soft skin. Small teeth. Thin limbs. Laughing children. Cities of glass and steel. Rex made a low sound of amusement. "They reached faster than light." "Yes, Marshal. Recently. Crude drives. Limited range." "How many off-world colonies?" "One confirmed. A frontier settlement. Population under 15,000. Rex turned away. "Then it is decided." The analyst hesitated. "Should we issue a compliance demand?" Rex didn't even look back. "No." The order went out. A single strike group. Enough firepower to wipe the colony clean and harvest survivors for labor. No records. No ceremony. Just efficiency. On the human colony of Haven's Reach, the day began like any other. Engineers checked solar arrays. Teachers prepared lessons. A group of children chased each other through red dust fields under a pale sun. The colony was small, hopeful, and far from Earth's old wars. Then the sky tore open. Dark shapes slid from nothingness, blotting out the stars. Sirens screamed for the first time in Haven's Reach history. People froze, confused, staring upward as gravity distorted and the air vibrated with power. The first plasma strike erased the power district. The second shattered the residential dome. There was no warning. No chance to fight. Only fire. Buildings melted. Roads cracked open. People ran, screaming names that would never be answered. Emergency shelters overloaded in seconds. Evacuation ships, meant for storms, not war, struggled to launch. Dr. Elias Moren pulled a wounded stranger into a transport as debris rained around them. He didn't know the man's name. It didn't matter. He was human. Behind them, the colony burned. Only 7 evacuation vessels escaped the planet. 7. Out of nearly 15,000 souls, fewer than 900 survived. The Carthan logged the mission as minor pacification event. No losses. No resistance. Supreme Marshal Rex reviewed the report days later and deleted it without comment. The Dominion had larger conquests ahead. But aboard those 7 ships, drifting toward Earth, something ancient stirred. The survivors gathered in silence. They shared names. Faces. Memories. Children clutched toys pulled from rubble. Adults stared into nothing, replaying moments they could not change. Grief filled the ships. Then something else replaced it. Not rage. Not yet. Resolve. A former logistics officer named Mara Elias stood before the survivors during a shared assembly. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned. "They thought this was enough," she said. "They thought killing us would end us." She gestured to the children. To the wounded. To the broken. "They don't know us." Human leadership on Earth listened as the survivors spoke. They showed recordings. They named the dead. They did not beg. They did not shout. They remembered. Earth did not respond with immediate war. Instead, Humanity did what it always had. They studied. Scientists dissected every scan of Carthan technology. Engineers redesigned propulsion systems, not for speed, but endurance. Military planners abandoned traditional battle doctrine. Humans did not prepare to fight. They prepared to follow. Across the galaxy, elder civilizations whispered among themselves. Old warnings resurfaced. Ancient records long ignored were reopened. One phrase appeared again and again, buried deep in forgotten archives. Do not wound humanity and expect peace. The Carthan Dominion felt nothing. Not yet. But far behind them, 7 small ships had reached Earth. And humanity had begun the hunt. The galaxy did not notice humanity preparing. That was the first mistake. To the Carthan Dominion, time was measured in victories. Worlds fell, fleets moved on, and history was written by force. They believed strength meant speed and fear meant control. They had never learned to watch the quiet places. On Earth, no declarations were made. No speeches promising revenge. No grand displays of anger. Instead, doors closed. Lights stayed on through the night. And humanity began to change. In underground research cities and orbital stations hidden behind civilian traffic, human scientists worked together like never before. Old rivalries vanished. Nations shared secrets they had once killed to protect. Engineers from opposite sides of past wars sat at the same tables, arguing not about power, but efficiency. The survivors of Haven's Reach became advisors. They were not soldiers. They were witnesses. Mara Elias spent most of her days in briefing rooms, replaying the same recordings over and over. She paused on weapon impacts, ship movement patterns, timing between strikes. Where others saw destruction, she saw habits. They're arrogant, she said during one session. They don't finish what they start. They assume fear does the rest. Across the room, Admiral Jonah Reyes nodded slowly. Arrogance creates routines. Routines can be tracked. Humanity's fleets were not rebuilt to match the Carthan dreadnoughts. That would have taken decades they did not have. Instead, they built smaller ships. Cheaper ships. Ships designed to survive, not win. They built vessels that could disappear. Human scientists also turned inward. They studied themselves. Their own history. Their own violence. Humanity had hunted before, not animals, but ideas, diseases, even extinction itself. They remembered what patience could do. The old phrase surfaced in a strategy meeting, spoken quietly by an anthropologist. Persistence hunting. Some smiled grimly. Others looked uncomfortable. Far away, the elder species were watching. The Ellerin Concord, a coalition older than the Carthan Dominion, convened in secret. Their bodies shimmered with biolight, colors shifting with emotion. Fear spread among them like a cold tide. They were attacked, one elder said. That alone is dangerous. They survived, another replied. That is worse. Ancient records were shared again. Stories passed down not as history, but as warnings. Humanity had been overlooked before. Misjudged. Each time, the result had been the same. Slow disaster. An Ellerin observer vessel slipped quietly into human-controlled space. Its captain sent a message, encrypted, indirect, cautious. Earth answered. Not with demands. Not with threats. With silence. That silence worried the elders more than any scream. 3 standard cycles after the destruction of Haven's Reach, the Carthan Dominion experienced its first anomaly. A mining station at the edge of their territory failed to report in. This was not unusual. Equipment failed. Slaves rebelled. Life was cheap. A patrol ship was dispatched. It never returned. Another anomaly followed. A supply convoy vanished along a stable trade corridor. No wreckage. No distress call. Just absence. Supreme Marshal Rex Varuan reviewed the reports with mild irritation. Pirates, he said. Increase patrol density. The Dominion complied. That only made things worse. Human ships did not attack directly. They waited. They followed. They observed Carthan fleets for weeks, sometimes months. They mapped reaction times. They learned how Carthan commanders thought. Then they struck only when the enemy was weakest. Fuel depots were sabotaged. Navigation buoys were altered by fractions so small they went unnoticed, until ships jumped and never arrived. Communications relays began to fail in patterns no one could explain. The Carthan were not being fought. They were being exhausted. A junior commander named Tessic Vral was the first to voice concern. "These are not random losses," he told his superior. "Someone is studying us." His warning was dismissed. Then came the recording. A damaged patrol ship limped back to Carthan space, hull scarred but intact. Its crew was shaken. Silent. When questioned, they played the final moments from their black box. The image showed empty space. Then a human voice filled the bridge speakers. "Calm. Steady. Patient. We know where you are. We know where you will go next." The transmission ended. Fear spread through the command ranks. Rex watched the recording in private. He replayed it multiple times. The voice carried no rage. No triumph. That unsettled him. Human attacks continued, still small, still surgical. Never enough to provoke full war. Never enough to justify mobilizing the Dominion's core fleets. The Carthan were being pulled outward, stretched thin, forced to protect every border, every route, every asset. Humanity was walking. The Ellering Concord finally sent a direct message to the Carthan Emperor. "You are being hunted," it said. "You must stop." The Emperor laughed. But Rex did not. For the first time in his long career, the Supreme Marshal ordered a strategic review of an enemy species not considered a threat. The data disturbed him. Human lifespan, short. Human reproduction, fast. Human memory, generational. Human behavior under loss, escalation. He remembered the soft bodies, the unarmored skin. And he realized the truth too late. Humans did not need to be stronger. They only needed to last longer. On Earth, Mara Elias watched the latest mission report scroll past her screen. Another convoy lost. Another relay gone dark. A young officer beside her asked, "When do we hit them hard?" Mara shook her head. "Not yet." She looked at the stars. "We're still walking." And far across the galaxy, the Carthan Dominion began to feel tired for the first time in its history. The hunt was tightening. The Carthan Dominion had never known doubt. Fear, yes. Rage, often. But doubt, the quiet question that grows in the mind when victory no longer feels certain, was new. And it spread faster than any enemy fleet. Supreme Marshal Rex Varuan stood in the war chamber, surrounded by holographic maps filled with blinking warning symbols. Trade routes disrupted. Outposts abandoned. Patrols missing. Every loss was small on its own, but together they formed a pattern that could no longer be ignored. "They are herding us," Rex said slowly. The chamber fell silent. A senior tactician clicked his mandibles. "Impossible. No species herds the Carthan." Rex's eyes burned brighter. "Someone is." At the edge of Dominion space, a heavily fortified logistics hub called Iron Halo floated near a gas giant. It supplied fuel, munitions, and replacement soldiers to 3 sectors. Losing it would not cripple the Empire, but it would hurt. Human analysts had noticed that. For months, human scout ships drifted at extreme range, hiding behind radiation storms and asteroid shadows. They never transmitted. They never fired. They simply watched Iron Halo's rhythms. Shift changes. Patrol gaps. Fuel transfers. Reaction times. Human commanders met across continents via encrypted links. There was no single leader. No throne. No supreme commander. There was consensus. When the decision was made, it was quiet. The attack began with silence. Navigation beacons around Iron Halo failed within seconds of each other. Not destroyed, rewritten. Their signals drifted just enough to confuse incoming ships. A Carthan supply convoy jumped in and emerged inside the gas giant's gravity well. They never sent a distress call. Moments later, the station's outer sensors detected human vessels. Too late. Human ships appeared not in a charging formation, but scattered. They didn't rush forward. They didn't target weapons systems first. They targeted time. Autonomous drones slammed into docking clamps, locking Carthan ships in place. Cyber warfare packets flooded Iron Halo's network, exploiting redundancies the Carthan had never bothered to patch. Human boarding teams didn't storm in shouting. They cut power. Emergency lights flickered on throughout the station. Confusion turned to panic as internal doors sealed unpredictably. Carthan soldiers fired at shadows, hitting nothing. Human voices filled the station's speakers. "We're not here to conquer you," one voice said calmly. Another followed. "We're here to make a point." Explosions rippled through fuel storage. Precise, controlled, devastating. Iron Halo began to tear itself apart. Human ships withdrew as the station collapsed into the gas giant's atmosphere, burning like a falling star. The entire battle lasted 12 minutes. For the first time in Dominion history, a core logistics hub was lost to a species officially classified as non-threatening. The recording spread. Carthan civilians watched the destruction in stunned silence. Soldiers whispered. Commanders argued. The name human stopped sounding small. Supreme Marshal Rex watched the footage alone. He replayed it again and again. The human ships did not pursue fleeing vessels. They did not press the advantage. They simply left. That terrified him. On Earth, there was no celebration. Human news feeds reported the loss as a necessary step. Analysts spoke of restraint. Philosophers debated the cost of revenge. Parents watched from their homes, holding children who had never seen Haven's Reach, but would grow up knowing its name. Mara Elias stood before a memorial wall etched with thousands of names. She traced one line with her finger. Her brother. They noticed, an intelligence officer said quietly behind her. The Carthan are mobilizing. Mara nodded. They always do when they're scared. Are we ready for open war? She turned to face him. We're not forcing them into war. He frowned. Then what are we doing? We're teaching them. Across the galaxy, elder species felt the shift. The Ellering Concord issued another warning, this time to everyone. Stay out of human space, the message said. And do not interfere. Some listened. Others did not. A younger empire, the Zythe Collective, saw opportunity. They attempted to ambush a human scouting flotilla, hoping to gain favor with the Carthan. The humans did not retaliate immediately. They recorded everything. 3 weeks later, Zythe command nodes failed simultaneously. Trade collapsed. Their allies abandoned them. The collective fractured from the inside. No human fleet was ever seen near their worlds. The message was clear. Humanity was not reacting. Humanity was controlling outcomes. Supreme Marshal Rex finally addressed the Emperor directly. This enemy does not seek territory, Rex said. They seek consequence. The Emperor dismissed him. Then give them battle. Crush them openly. Rex hesitated. That is what they want us to think. The Emperor's patience snapped. You fear them. Rex met his gaze. Yes. That admission changed everything. As Dominion fleets mobilized for the first full-scale confrontation, human commanders adjusted their plans. They withdrew. Human ships vanished from contested sectors. Attacks ceased. Silence returned. The Carthan advanced cautiously, expecting traps. None came. Weeks passed. Then months. Supply lines stretched. Morale weakened. Soldiers waited for enemies who never appeared. Humanity was walking again. On Earth, a child asked her mother why the war had gone quiet. The mother answered honestly, because we're not done yet. In deep space, a lone human probe attached itself to a Carthan command relay and waited. Patient. Watching. Recording. Supreme Marshal Rex stared into the stars from his flagship, exhaustion weighing on him. For the first time, he understood the elder warnings. Humans did not fight to win battles. They fought to end threats. And somewhere in the dark, he knew, the next phase would not be survivable. The Carthan Dominion had always believed fear was a weapon. They used it freely. Cities burned to make examples. Entire species vanished to discourage resistance. Fear kept borders quiet and soldiers obedient. But now fear had turned inward. Across core worlds, civilians whispered about disappearing fleets. Workers questioned orders. Soldiers hesitated before boarding transports. The idea that the Dominion could lose, once impossible, had entered the collective mind. Supreme Marshal Rex Varuan felt it everywhere. On the bridge of the unending will, reports arrived faster than they could be analyzed. Supply shortages. Mutinies on outer stations. Commanders requesting reassignment away from human zones. The humans themselves remained unseen. That was the worst part. They are inside our systems, Rex said to his senior staff. Not physically. Mentally. A communications officer stepped forward. Marshal, we've received something. The display activated. It was not a threat. It was a list. Names. Dates. Locations. Every Carthan operation against humanity. Past, present, and planned. Even missions that had never left the proposal stage. At the bottom, one line blinked. We know how this ends. The transmission vanished. The bridge was silent. Rex felt something cold settle in his core. They are not guessing, he said quietly. They are reading us. Human intelligence had done what no enemy ever had. They had learned the Dominion better than the Dominion knew itself. On Earth, the decision-makers watched the same moment unfold through intercepted Carthan channels. No cheering followed. Only quiet acknowledgement. They're close to collapse, Admiral Jonah Reyes said. If we push now, the galaxy burns. Mara Elias folded her arms. If we stop now, it happens again. To someone else. Humanity did not want conquest. They wanted certainty. The next human action shocked everyone. They surrendered. A single human envoy ship entered Carthan space openly, weapons powered down. It requested formal negotiations. No tricks. No hidden fleets. The galaxy held its breath. The Carthan Emperor saw it as victory. Finally, he said. They crawl. Supreme Marshal Rex disagreed, but obeyed. The human envoy arrived at the capital world. One ship. One representative. A woman stepped onto the obsidian floor of the Imperial Hall. She wore no armor. No weapons. Only simple clothing. Her name was Dr. Celine Ward. She looked at the throne built from bones and did not flinch. I speak for humanity, she said. The Emperor leaned forward. You surrender. No, Celine replied. We conclude. Laughter echoed through the hall. You lost colonies. You lost ships. And you come to bargain. Celine nodded. Yes. She activated a hologram. The image showed Dominion infrastructure, every fuel node, every shipyard, every data vault. All marked. All vulnerable. These systems are compromised, she said calmly. Not destroyed. Yet. The Emperor's laughter died. Celine continued. We could erase your empire within a year. Slowly. Cleanly. Legally, by your own laws of attrition. Rex realized the truth. Humanity had never intended to win by force. They had already won by access. What do you want? The Emperor asked, voice tight. Celine met his gaze. 3 things. First, full withdrawal from all human space. No exceptions. Second, reparations for Haven's Reach. Resources. Records. The truth. Third. She paused. A law. The hall leaned in. Any attack on humanity, anywhere in the galaxy, by any species, will be treated as a declaration of extinction-level conflict. Silence crushed the room. You threaten us, the Emperor hissed. No, Selene said softly. We warn you. The Emperor turned to Rex. Kill her. The guards did not move. Rex stared at Selene. Then at the Emperor. Then at the future. He suddenly understood. If they killed her, humanity would not rage. They would finish the hunt. Rex stepped forward. For the survival of the Dominion, he said, I recommend acceptance. The Emperor struck him down in fury. And in that moment, the Dominion died. Human signals activated across Carthan space. Locks engaged. Fleets stalled. Systems froze. The Emperor screamed orders that no longer mattered. Selene watched calmly as guards seized the throne. This was avoidable, she said. Rex lay dying on the floor, his vision fading. He looked at Selene and spoke his final truth. You were never prey. Selene nodded. We never were. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The Carthan Dominion had fallen, not to fire, but to patience. Humanity did not celebrate. They remembered. And the galaxy learned a rule it would never forget. The fall of the Carthan Dominion did not look like victory. There were no burning capitals. No cheering crowds. No human flags planted on alien worlds. To those watching from afar, it almost looked peaceful. Too peaceful for the end of an empire that had ruled through terror for millennia. That illusion did not last. Across Carthan space, systems slowly came back online, but under new control. Human oversight did not replace Carthan rule. Instead, it dismantled it. Slave registries were unlocked. Prison worlds were opened. Conquered species were given something they had never known. Choice. Human ships escorted relief fleets, not invasion forces. Medical teams arrived before soldiers. Engineers repaired stations long neglected by their former masters. To many species, humans did not look like conquerors. They looked like consequences. The Carthan Emperor was tried under his own laws, broadcast across the galaxy. Humans did not interfere. They did not need to. The Dominion tore itself apart once fear no longer held it together. Supreme Marshal Rex Varuan's final recommendation was entered into historical record, studied by scholars for centuries. We did not lose because humans were stronger. We lost because we wounded something that never stops. On Earth, memorials to Haven's Reach were completed. Names etched in stone. Stories recorded. Children learned not just how they died, but why they were remembered. Mara Elias stood before the finished monument as the sun set. She felt no satisfaction. Only closure. They'll think twice now, Admiral Reyes said beside her. She shook her head. No. They'll think forever. Humanity changed after the hunt. They did not become cruel. They did not become gods. They became careful. Every first contact protocol across human space was rewritten. Humans were open, curious, and kind, but boundaries were clear. Aggression was met with calm explanations. Repeated aggression was met with silence. And silence, the galaxy learned, was dangerous. The elder species finally spoke openly. The Ellering Concord addressed the galactic community in a rare public transmission. The warning is no longer legend, the elder said. It is law. Humans are not conquerors. They are not saints. They are something older. Memory. Trade resumed. Alliances shifted. Wars cooled. Not because humanity threatened destruction, but because everyone understood the cost of forcing them to act. Generations passed. Human explorers traveled farther, not to hunt, but to understand. They carried stories with them, of Haven's Reach, of patience, of restraint. Those stories became part of galactic culture. A saying emerged among spacers of every species. Do not mistake human kindness for weakness. And never mistake their silence for peace. On a distant world, a young alien child once asked their teacher why humans were feared. The teacher answered carefully. They are not feared because they fight. They are feared because when they decide something must end, they make sure it does. Far beyond known space, human probes drifted, watching, listening. Not searching for enemies, only ensuring that no one forgot the lesson written quietly into history. The eternal hunt was never about revenge. It was about balance. And the truth the galaxy finally understood was simple. Humanity does not chase forever. But once they begin, they never stop walking. End.